Can I have all aldermen back, please? It is now 6:05, and we will be starting Committee of the Whole. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Alderman Guzman.
Present.
Alderman Martinez. Alderman Felix.
Present.
Alderman Newsome.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Present.
Alderman Florian.
Present.
Mayor Taylor.
Present.
You have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I have a first and a second on a motion to approve the committee minutes of the, or Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from January 6, 2025? Alderman Newsome is the first. Alderman second. Alderman,
Second.
Alderman Felix. Okay. Anybody on audience time for this committee? Oh, roll call motion? Okay. Roll call, please, on that motion.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Is there anybody for audience time that had signed up?
Yes, sir. I have a gentleman by the name of Robert Stevenson. Mr. Stevenson, go right ahead. Go right to the podium, sir. You have 3 minutes. I'm going to put your timer on. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Push the button.
Is it green?
It's red. Just talk. Press it.
Oh, it's red.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm here to support Euphoria Cafe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's a little sandwich shop, healthy nutrition site in Waukegan based on, what is that? Between Lewis, Grand Avenue, that area there. And from my understanding that they're trying to get a ordinance passed so that they can serve light drinks, like mimosas and stuff like that, and extend the hours, okay? And I understand that there was some opposition to that because they were worried that, I could be wrong, that some of the council members was that it would leave a bad impression with the alcohol and the people in that area. I've been working in the Waukegan area since 2008. I've never been a resident, but I've worked here and the cities throughout Lake County, inspecting homes and buildings as a state of Illinois employee for safety purposes and stuff like that. Every now and then I come across some individuals who's demonstrated their abilities to run small businesses with the daycare facilities that for the licenses that we do, that they can venture out into other things. In this group, a mom and her 2 daughters, they decided to take this venture with the Euphoria Cafe. And a lot of people thought that it would fail and that they didn't have a chance. But they did. They started off small, limited hours, they expanded, and now I think the first year or so, they actually might be in the black. And they're trying to maintain just the 3 of them. And now I've worked Lake County since 2008, different cities, and I've seen some bad things. I've seen some areas that are on a decline, okay? But when I would go and sit in this cafe in the city of Waukegan, it was one of the few bright things that I would see, because you go in there and it's like an atmosphere of a small business, family-owned, and you're always up against the conglomerates and the big corporations and competing, trying to do something. But this little family-owned business, it's a gem in your city, and I think you guys should actually give it a chance and support it. That's all.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the audience portion, ma'am.
Okay. Under old business, can I have a first and a second to hear the ordinance?
So move.
Second.
Okay, who was the first? Alderman Turner. Second was Alderman Martinez? Okay. Okay. This was placed back on the committee to reconsider by, I think it was Alderman Bolton wanted this back on. We had discussion last time about how the C1 licenses came about. And if I'm understanding this correctly, what the aldermen want to do is not have, they want to have a liquor license. If it's a C1 license, no, go ahead and explain it.
I think it would be useful to just go through one more time what this ordinance has three pieces to it. The first piece applies to all liquor licenses of all classes. So normally, right now, when a business with a liquor license closes or gives up its license, the number of available licenses is reduced by one. There are no available liquor licenses in that class anymore, and that's by design, because you don't want people coming in who might not be good operators coming in and just claiming a license. So that is why right now, even when a license, a business is sold, the license goes away and you have to create a new one. And that, when I say you have to create a new one, I mean the city council. What the first part of this ordinance, proposed originally by Alderman Guzman, would say that if a business that is in good standing is acquired by a bona fide purchaser who applies for a license of the same classification, and that goes through staff, is reviewed by staff, is approved by staff, the automatic reduction does not kick in. It's not that the license is transferred, it's that basically the available license is held for that specific location for a period of time. The way this is written, it says that if the purchaser does not complete the application within 1 month after the acquisition, then the reduction happens and they would have to come to council. But what this does is it says if you have a if you have a smooth transition, if you get your paperwork in before you close on the business, you do not have to come before council. That's the first part of this. The second part of this is that Alderman Guzman had proposed a $500,000 fee for transfers. Not $500 fee in addition to the license fee as a convenience fee for this. So you would still have to pay your license fee, but you would pay $500 for the convenience, basically, of not having to go back to the city council. That's a pretty simple one. The third part concerns only C1 licenses. C1 licenses are gas station licenses that are allowed to sell not only beer and wine, but liquor. There were 9 of them when the C1 license was created. 2 of them are closed. The way C1 licenses are set up now is that you cannot apply for a new one. Basically, if one goes away, now there's 7. If one goes away, there will be 6, and that they cannot be increased. And if one is sold, the C1 license goes away, and that business, if sold, cannot apply for a C1 license. What this would do, what Alderman Guzman's proposed, the third part of this ordinance would be that if a C1 license is a business with a C1 license is sold, that new owner can apply for a C1 license. So those are the 3 parts. Does anyone have any questions about the 3 parts? Okay, thank you for indulging me, I appreciate it.
So I will tell you from a liquor commissioner point of view, what we see is, number one, not every business, we're going through this right now where we have a problem with people, they sell their business and that business never gets a business license or a liquor license, and they open right away. It means that we have to go in and enforce all the time, which creates a lot of expense for us, that if this transitioned well, we wouldn't be doing any of this. So we're, in a sense, some of this is already happening, and it has not been working well. The other part of it is, if you open up C1 licenses, I think you're going to have every gas station be allowed to sell hard liquor, which comes back to one of our biggest complaints by residents is those that live around gas stations get tired of cleaning up the tiny liquor bottles that they encounter around their neighborhoods. So because we deal with the complaints on both sides, I just want everybody to be aware of that. So those are the issues that I will tell you from a liquor commissioner point of view that come across my desk every single day. Any other discussion on this? Alderman Hayes?
I've spoken out against this a couple of times. I'm not going to belabor the point for too long here. I've gone down the road of explaining the privilege associated with holding a liquor license, and I don't understand why someone would try to skip a step in the process, perhaps the most important step, which is coming before the city council. I think that the public counts on us to be gatekeepers, in a sense, for a lot of things, namely the privilege that associated with selling liquor in the city. I think all of the wards benefit from having all of the aldermen weigh in on who should hold a liquor license in this city. And I don't see any benefit. I see no benefit to the city as a whole to eliminate this step in the process. I don't see how it moves the city forward. I don't see how it makes the city safer. I don't see how it helps us progress. And I don't know why we would do something if it didn't, at a minimum, meet those requirements. So who does it benefit? One or two people, maybe? Someone who holds a C1 license? It doesn't benefit the neighbors of these establishments. It doesn't benefit the kids running around on the sidewalks in front of those establishments. It doesn't benefit the schools that are near these establishments or the churches, even if they're 300 feet away. It doesn't benefit anyone. So I don't see why we would clear this otherwise critical hurdle. And I haven't heard anyone give us a good reason why. The only thing I've heard is, well, the process needs to be faster. Listen, I'm the first one to say that we're dysfunctional, but I don't think we're dysfunctional when it comes to liquor licenses. I think that we move those things along fairly quickly, especially if the applicant comes and can explain their application to us and answer our questions. So I don't think we're holding up the process. I don't think it's staff that's holding up the process. We've all acknowledged how hard they're working. So who does it fall on? What we have heard almost across the board is that the applicants don't submit completed applications. Basic information. That's what holds up the process. So I would ask all of you to ask yourself those important questions about who this benefits and why we're doing this and how this moves the city forward. And if you think it does, I suspect many of you will vote yes, but I would strongly encourage you to vote no.
Anything else? Okay. You want to take the roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Alderman Hayes.
No.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Nay.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
No.
Mayor Taylor.
No.
That is sufficient votes to take that to the main agenda tonight. That will appear on the main agenda under new business.
Okay, item B is just a discussion, and this is on the city code prohibiting fighting to allow the hosting of sanctioned full combat sports, which, when I say, I'm sorry.
Actually, when I proposed this, I never said discussion. It was coming up for vote. Every time it.
Can you speak up, sir?
I said when I proposed this ordinance amendment, I always bring up it goes for vote, not just for discussion. It can be discussed and voted at the same time.
Well, this particular one can't tonight because we didn't put, it would violate the Open Meetings Act. It has to be, because it's placed on the agenda for discussion, it has to stay discussion. We can do it on the next agenda. not a problem. So this will be for discussion, and I don't think it's actually been discussed before. I don't remember this one.
No, it has not.
So what this is we have a code prohibiting fighting. And one of the reasons we have that is traditionally in some of our bars, they wanted to host events where they would open up where public you could have two people come in and fight each other. And that turned into sometimes gangs fighting other gang members. So that's why we have this ordinance to begin with. However, there is MMA sports that are considered combat sports that have also been lumped under this, but are different than what traditionally some of the fighting that was sanctioned to begin with. It's just different outside of the realms. So that's why this came about. So is there any discussion on this? Anybody? Alderman Turner?
So who would these fights need to be sanctioned by? And I ask because there are innumerable organizations that sponsor boxing matches, various martial arts tournaments, the MMA tournaments that you mentioned, and so forth and so on. So are we looking to one specific sanctioning body, or how is that going to play out?
Can we go to the next slide in the presentation? So to answer your question, Alderman Turner, there is a Boxing and Full Contact Martial Arts Act, which is a state act, which states that that these types of events are regulated by the Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation. If these fights are properly conducted in accordance with state law, and I do know that there are different independent sanctioning bodies that are separate from the state, depending on what different I guess you would call them leagues or whatever, and also whatever disciplines of combat sports. But we would just be looking at is this with it being conducted within state rules.
So we're not looking to establish our own regulatory rulings or rules around these matches. We're just saying, hey, as long as they meet the state qualifications in terms of the state professional standards and so forth.
Yeah, Mayor Taylor has inquired if we can put an octagon down there, but I don't think that we're ready to talk about that yet. No, there would be nothing if it meets state standards, it would be sufficient.
Thank you, sir.
And then they don't have to apply for a special permit or any, like for a special event. Well, they would if it's something that is truly a special event. They would still have to apply for that. But if it's something that they've already has been established, like it's a regular basis or something, they would not.
Yeah, for instance, if the casino, when the permanent casino is eventually constructed and there's an entertainment space, and they had regular events similar to the Genesee, I don't think the Genesee Theater would be a good venue for combat sports, but if there was a venue that had, that had regular events like that, no, it would not need a special event.
Call for the vote. Oh, not voting.
I have a comment.
Alderman Hayes?
So we're not voting on this tonight, it's just up for discussion? Okay. All right. I don't really know where to start with this. I guess I'll just go right for the jugular, since we're discussing combat sports. When I used to read the police reports, and in talking with police officers, and in listening to people that come for audience time, one would think that we already have full combat activities going on in the streets. Why are we now seeking to profit from it in our bars, restaurants, or other establishments? Why, as a city, do we think it's a good idea to sanction and try to profit from one individual beating up another? What does this do for us, other than provide a ton of material for the op-ed writers that love to skewer us for some of the decisions we make? What are we doing? What are we doing? Actually spending city council time discussing whether we should have full combat sports in the city of Waukegan. This is right up there with check cashing establishments, and God only knows how many liquor stores we have, how many car repair stores we have, how many used car facilities we have in the city. Now it's going to be full combat sports to go with that. Let me throw in those billboards out there and those insane lights or signs that we're seeing in some of the restaurants now. I can't imagine why somebody would want to come here and do business. I can't imagine why someone would think that this is a good place to live when these are the things that we're pushing for in our city. Just tonight, we're discussing spending $1 million that we don't have. We're discussing individual aldermen. They should have their own lawyers. We're discussing what? Whether people, though this is coming up soon, whether people should be able to park RVs in their driveway so that everyone can see it. It is absurd, the things that we are focusing on. We have Superfund sites that we can't get cleaned up. We have businesses that are failing. We have a whole host of actual problems. And we are focused on full combat sports. This is bad for the city. Nightclubs can't operate without requiring a police presence. Now you think a full combat fighting facility is a good idea? I think you wouldn't know it, but I'm actually at a loss for words. This is absurd. So, if you want to keep setting us back, vote yes. But as far as I can see, I don't understand how this does anything for the city of Waukegan at all.
Alderman Turner?
Hey, Alderman Newsom, Guzman, and Donenworth, didn't they used to have boxing at the theater that was across the street from the Genesee? Goes at the Palace?
Yes, they did.
The Palace Theater had regular
Fundraiser.
boxing matches. Had I know Wayne Motley was a sergeant of police. He was security over there working for George Torres, who later worked for Motley. But you know, these are adult sports, sanctioned by the city, by the state. You see boxing matches, and this is nothing new, sir.
Alderman Turner.
I mean, you've got karate tournaments and judo and jiu-jitsu and there's all kinds of combat sports, and tournaments are held around the world. It's a huge industry, and this could be another entertainment genre that puts Waukegan on the map. These things, and I went to it actually was one of the co-sponsors of the MMA match that was held, and it was fabulous. And there was not an iota of trouble over there. Everyone had a great time. And you know, again, regulating what fun people can have, every industry. These are adults. They've got insurance. They've got training requirements. You can't just go in there and say, hey, I want to be in MMA. You got to train for like 6 months or something before they'll let you in the ring. So it's already very well regulated and monitored, and managed. I don't see any hindrance. Why are we telling adults what they can and cannot do in a private venue? It's not like the city is sponsoring it. I wouldn't want the city to sponsor it. But this is a private business, or private businesses that come together and they want to host these matches. So,
It puts us on the map for the wrong reason. I think we should try to avoid that. So,
A lot of adults that also got behind dog fighting, and we stopped that. So you got to be careful when you say adults doing things, because adults don't always do the right
who's
things.
asking for this? Like, was it an alderman that proposed it, or is there actually a business that's come to us and said, hey, we want to do this here?
I think there was a business, right, that came to you?
They just had a boxing thing out over here in west of town earlier this year. They already had a boxing match. They had 15, 20 rounds, 30 rounds of all these boxers going out there boxing. It was a fundraiser, for kids, I believe it was for sports and stuff. So these kids came in, and everybody here knew all these people too. They knew these fighters. They said, that's the good one, that's the bad one. And they're there, and then they do their fighting. I mean, they go up and they box, and then they're done. Somebody gets knocked out, oh well. If they don't, that's fine. But you know what? I say we let them do what they can within reason.
Alderman Guzman, you were next.
I think we should just move forward on this and then call it a day. Let's call the vote. And then
Not
move
even
it.
up for a vote.
Discussion.
I understand that, but Since it was up for a vote, I put a motion to move it straight to city council for next council agenda. What is it, the
The
first?
next council, we can do that, but it's still for
Thank you.
discussion tonight.
Okay,
Alderman
so
Felix,
could we move forward on this and go to the next agenda, please?
it's still, Alderman Felix had a comment to make.
You know what? I agree with Alderman Michael Donaldsworth. So that's it. You know, I think this is one of many different economies that we bring. If it's not your, if it's not something that is your interest, that's fine. We all have many interests. I support as long as it has, you know, some kind of regulation, which we're going to follow the states. We're okay. People have different interests. I support people with their interests, and I support having different economies in our city with different interests, like our boating community, like many other things that we have here in our city that we, you know, sometimes drive away. So I agree.
Okay. So we're going to go to item C, and I need a first and a second on this.
So
Hold on.
Wait.
Second.
Hold on, let's, okay,
wanna
so
be-
the alderman made a motion that he would like to have an ordinance prepared and put on the city council. I think it's appropriate to vote on that, even though we had discussion on it.
Okay.
So,
So we need a first and a second on the motion to move it to the next council, which is going to be anyway. But,
A second.
yeah, but to come out of committee, everything needs a vote.
okay. So we got a first by Alderman Guzman, a second by Alderman Felix. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
No.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Nay.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
No.
Taylor.
This is just to move it to the next one, right? Aye.
Motion pass.
Okay, item C, I need a first and a second.
So move.
Second.
Okay, so it's Alderman Martinez, second was Alderman Guzman. And this is an ordinance amending Section 3-10 of the Waukegan Code of Ordinances regarding the Class P coffee shop licenses. So we were looking at defining that a little bit more, because one of the issues that we're going to have, and I'm telling you this is unequivocally going to happen, is once you allow one coffee shop to do this, you're going to have every Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks selling liquor. It's inevitable. Also, are they going to be eligible, because once you have a liquor license, you're eligible for video gaming. Are we going to do video gaming? So these are all things that have to be discussed. I absolutely agree. These owners have been wonderful, and they've got a niche. That part of their niche is it's a family coffee shop. I don't know, good or bad, how this will make a difference, but I just want those things discussed in terms of what are, a Class P license as it stands today only allows for beer and wine. So what restrictions are going to be put on it? Because otherwise you're going to move right into the nightclub. Alderman Guzman?
Actually, I was going to request an amending, make sure there's, so other businesses or other people won't hop on this bandwagon, I want to put an amendment that it must be served, to hold this P license, must serve 90% of that business must be a coffee shop.
Who's going to police that?
90% of that business must be a coffee shop.
Well, this probably would eliminate them then, because they sell a lot of food.
80% then.
Now this
They
is just,
still sell a lot of food.
I mean,
I think it would be, Alderman Martinez did request some changes be made to the ordinance based on feedback that he got at the last committee of the whole. I think it'd be useful to just talk through those very quickly. So as a Class P ordinance, which Euphoria has been granted a Class P ordinance right now. So this is what they can do. They must be open by 7 a.m. and stay open for 10 hours. So basically, they have to operate as a coffee shop as we think of it, someplace you get your morning coffee, and must be open for a good amount of time. Primary business must be coffee, tea, and beverages. They must sell food items. So far, all these things, this is what's currently in the ordinance. They can sell liquor from 4 to 10 p.m. on weekdays, 2 to 10 p.m. on weekends, beer and wine only. 1 drink may be served per customer. Okay, so here's now the next slide. Okay, so here are the changes that are being proposed are: 1, that in addition to beer and wine, that alcoholic spirits may be served on the premises. That, and here, the changes that are new are that permitted service hours would be limited to Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's for alcohol. So they could sell alcohol during that time. It would be extended, but not past 10 p.m. Except for once a month on a Saturday or a Sunday, they would be allowed extended hours to 2 a.m. The reason, the justification for this is that this particular licensee would like to conduct what they're referring to as jazz nights. Nights where there'd be live performance, there would not be a cover charge, so it would not be a nightclub, but at the same time there would be, it would be a nighttime event. I think it's in conjunction with a nonprofit. They would also, the proposal here is also to eliminate the 1 drink per customer limitation. So the changes that are up on your screen are what are being proposed and are in this substitute ordinance. Alderman Martinez, did I hit everything that you had asked for?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely great. That's exactly what I we all recommend. So, yes, thank you.
Okay, so I understand mimosas to some degree, but if you're going to be open every day with things at 8 a.m., we have so many drinking establishments. I'm like, why are we starting off at 8 a.m. with a drink? But I just want to know what other people's input is on this. Alderman Hayes?
So why not just apply for a regular liquor license? Why are we completely modifying the P license to accommodate one person when we could just, I want them to have the ability to sell alcohol. I don't understand why coffee shops should be selling alcohol at 8 o'clock in the morning, but nonetheless, it seems like this carve-out effectively erodes the entire license. So why not just apply for a regular liquor license?
So there are 2 reasons why this is a bad fit, or why their current business model did not fit with our licenses as they are currently. For a Class A restaurant license, you have to have 50 or more seats. Euphoria is, I don't know how many you have, but it's a smaller area. They do not have 50 or more seats. The idea was that we didn't want to give basically a bar that heated up pizzas a restaurant license. The other alternative would be a tavern license. But if you're a tavern, no one under 21 may be in the tavern, and you have to card at the door. And that is pretty antithetical to what I think the type of vibe that Euphoria is going. So both of those, which would be kind of the 2 alternatives, as they are currently written, would not fit. So the Class P is still closest to their business model, but they are asking that it be amended to fit what they've kind of want to stretch their business model to be.
Okay, thanks for that. That's pretty helpful, and I understand. Is it okay if we just ask the applicant some
Yep,
questions?
come on up.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Of course.
I'm sorry that this process has taken so long.
Can just for the record, can you state your name and your address?
Of course, my name is Galilea Mendoza. I'm one of the co-owners of Euphoria Cafe, and my address is 2313 Northern Avenue.
Okay, regarding the hours, that's kind of been my hang-up all along. Initially, it was my understanding, I think it was a lot of our understandings, that this was Bailey's and coffee or some sort of espresso martini or whatever the case may be, but it was an afternoon into the evening thing. And it feels to me like it's ballooned into a now 9 o'clock in the mornings or 8 o'clock in the mornings during the weekdays, 8 o'clock on the weekends. So why the change in time?
So our current hours right now at Euphoria are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We did want to stretch the afternoon, especially right now in the winter, to be able to accommodate our community with like our menu and also more options for the afternoon. Because a lot of our clients are getting out of work at 5 p.m. They really can't make it till later. So we did want to have the opportunity to extend our hours. Again, if the issue is that you think 8 a.m. is too early, I agree. I think that I'd like to have the possibility to have it earlier because like I mentioned to my mom, if someone comes in, you know, they're celebrating a birthday, if we have that on the menu, I don't want to have to say you have to wait until 9 a.m. But if that's something that you guys think would be the best option, I don't mind pushing it to 9 a.m. But that's exactly the reason why, you know, those hours did change. I also did bring in a menu with our options of our drinks that we did want to plan to add to our menu. So if you guys did want to take a look, all of it does include champagne, Prosecco, all that follows the guidelines of both beer and wine.
I think, sure, we'll certainly take a look at that. Thanks for bringing it. But my question is more, why the need to sell alcohol in the morning at all? I thought it was more of an afternoon, 4 p.m. till 10 p.m. or something a
Yes.
little bit more in line with the coffee shop into a jazz bar concept that you were going for. Because if you're selling alcohol as early in the morning as the other liquor license liquor licenses in the city, I don't understand why we would make an exception.
So as of right now, you know, we've been operating for a year and a half. Our main focus is like the healthy breakfast options, a coffee shop that has various of healthy options like sandwiches, bagel melts, cold pressed juices. Every weekend, you know, we sell out and we always are very popular for our cold pressed orange juice. So as many of you know, mimosas are orange juice with champagne. So as of right now, we don't offer our community something where they could celebrate their birthday in the morning with, you know, a healthy breakfast option. So I wanted to expand our menu and offer our community that. Because if you guys are aware, we don't have that in our community. We don't have a coffee shop that offers that. So I understand, you know, if you guys do give us the Class P, there are other coffee shops, but, you know, it's just, I feel like it's not our fault that we're the first to do it. We'd like to offer more of our community, and that does come into play with our menus. So that's the reason why I also brought in this menu, so you guys are aware of how organized and control the drinks that we want to offer our community. It's not a big variety of a menu. It does go very well with the menu that we already have in place right now. That is healthy breakfast options with like cold pressed juices, smoothies, bagel melts. So it does come into play with what we do. And I also have asked our community, you know, if that's something that they're interested in. And I've gotten very good feedback, and it does come into play. So that's the reason why I'd like to offer it to our community. Again, this is a safe place. If you guys look at our social media, you know, we offer a lot of free community events monthly, and we do meditations, we do, you know, things that are good for like self-awareness, self-improvement. So we do want to continue to follow that path, and that doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to go a different path if we decide to add, you know, mimosas to our menu, which is also a part of a breakfast option.
I'm just going to make one more comment. I want you to be able to succeed. I want you to be able to sell alcohol. I'm certainly in favor of that. My concern is that the exception will become the rule. And it's not necessarily what I've communicated to Alderman Martinez, is that it's not your operation that will become the problem, but it's in the future others that see a way around a traditional liquor license that think that then they can do something under the guise of a coffee shop. And so when we make a decision for one person, we have to think about how that will carry forward to all applicants. So that is my biggest concern that I've had kind of all along, and I just want to communicate that to you. So
Thank
I have
you.
a question here that we're looking at your menu, and everything is champagne or wine.
Prosecco. Mhm.
So there's nothing on here that doesn't have wine or champagne.
Correct.
So why could you not stay with the liquor license the way it is, right? Where it would be. For beer and wine.
That's no problem for beer and wine. It was the hours that we were addressing.
Well, maybe we should just address the hours and not change the liquor license.
Excuse me, I'd just like to take this for a vote.
I'll second that.
Please, let's take it. This is over. We've accommodated, we've cut down on the hours.
They're
There's
saying,
still questions, and it doesn't just
I
ran
think we
through
should move
because you
forward.
want it
I
ran
really do think
through.
we should move forward. Thank you.
No, there's
agree.
still discussion. Alderman Florian.
That menu that she passed down, I don't know who has it, I think the clerk is just giving it to Alderman Felix. One of the things was a bottomless offering. Is that allowed under our liquor licenses? I circled it,
Know
because
what that is. What is the
that means,
bottomless thing?
I
Yeah.
think you just get as many as you want for a certain price?
So that's another thing I was going to ask you. So on the ordinance that I received from the city, from Manelli, when I did ask her for all of the ordinances, nothing was on there regarding one drink per customer. So I'm not sure where that was brought from, but I also spent hours today looking for that online. Chicago State Alcohol Committee, everything. I was not able to find that anywhere where it states that only one drink per customer. So I don't know if I'd be able to get more information regarding that.
the language of it is, it says that the
It's to be
sale,
sold
the
per-
sale of more than one single serving or bottle of wine or beer, and the bottle of wine has to be a small bottle,
Correct.
according to this, to each patron during a single point of sale transaction is prohibited.
So we're able to sell it per unit individually.
Yes, yeah. If you had a tab to each patron during a single point of sale, yeah, that is the way it's written.
Correct, and that shouldn't be a problem.
So I still didn't get my answer, though. The bottomless thing, does that mean someone pays a certain price and they can have as many as they want?
For the mimosa, that was a part of the menu, correct? Because again, I did not see in the ordinance that it was one per customer.
So
If
that
it
would not
is-
be allowed, right?
I have to look, I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the ordinance to see if we have some liquor codes do have a provision that says, like basically a prohibition on all you can drink. I have to look and see what our code says about that. But that, I mean, either that's allowed or that's not allowed. That's something that is not specific to the Class P.
So it sounds like if we're just talking about hours and beer and wine, then we just need to approve the hours. Would that be right? If you're only going to sell beer and wine and champagne, is that the plan?
So in the morning, in the afternoon, I did want to add the espresso martinis, which is why this was a conversation.
I see. Okay, forgive me.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor.
I addressed this, so yeah, go ahead.
So a couple of things. First, as far as the hours, starting selling at 7 a.m., a lot of folk work a night shift, including some of our city employees. Might get off at 6 a.m., change clothes on the way home. They want to stop and have a cup of coffee with a Bailey's or a mimosa or whatever it is, right? The other thing is, this seems like overly complicated to me now. Just hear me out. You got a state liquor license, you got a city liquor license, you're specifying when they can sell, and now you're specifying that they can only, how much they can, they only can have one drink. But if they go to a bar, people go to a bar or a restaurant, they could have as many drinks as they want, but not at this place. Again, and listen, we got rules, regulations, laws, ordinances, all these controls, right? You got to be 21, you can't drive drunk, you can't walk down the street stumbling. How much control we have to have over people's lives? If these women have a business model that they are serving a legal product to adults, then why not let them sell that legal product to adults? And then I want to go to this other thing. This is just another side note. We've got so many categories of liquor license. What do we need all them categories for? Either you sell liquor or you don't. That would be the simplification of business licensing. But I got to tell you, I'm all in favor of whatever it is you guys agree to. If you agree to it, I'll vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we go out for a vote, please?
There you go.
Okay,
I second that.
okay. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Nay.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Mayor Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you.
That item will appear on the city council tonight under new business.
Thank you.
Okay, next is under new business, the discussion, and this is Alderman Florian, discussion of the installation of bird-friendly glass on Waukegan municipal facilities.
Actually, with it being 6:50, I put a motion to, okay.
Okay, Alderman Florian?
Well, I had a lot going on today, so I really didn't get a chance to prepare for this. I'll apologize.
If you want to hold it to the next one, that's fine.
Well, I'll just briefly say what it is, and we can see what the consensus is. So we are a bird community. Tonight, we're passing a proclamation about being a bird city. Over 300 people a week come to our beach to look at birds. So I just feel we need to make birds a priority for our community. And this is one way of doing it. This is a glass that's installed or a film that's put on existing glass that makes the glass visible to birds, because birds don't see glass. I'm sure all of us have seen a bird hit a window, and oftentimes it's a fatal injury to them. So I just think as a bird community, we should address that and make an ordinance that creates a requirement that we make our glass bird-friendly. So that's it in a nutshell.
One question for you. Are you talking about us having to replace all the glass? Or would that mean like as we replace glass, we would do it?
A new construction or replacing window, kind of like we do with our UDO now with parking lots and so on. If it's new construction or something new, that.
Alderman Turner?
So if I replace the windows, I get brand new windows in my house because they're, not insulated and all that, and I get a plate glass window up front, I have to get this bird.
We can't even hear you.
Not a house.
Oh, I'm sorry. My question was regarding replacing the residential windows, and so the answer is no, not
Just on municipal facilities.
at what height? Commercial? How high?
This
One
is
story,
just-
2 stories, 5?
Mayor, are you, sorry, is the alderman just proposing for city-owned buildings?
Well, I would really love to see this in all buildings, but I think this particular ordinance just talks about city-owned properties at this time. And we're not really building anything at this point, so it's kind of a moot point, I guess, at this point. But eventually, I would like it to see us required on all new construction.
2 stories or higher. If we specify 2 stories or higher, I'll go for it.
And if we're talking film too, the film should be a lot easier to do. So all you gotta do is get your crew out there, get the film going
Yep.
and put it up, because
Yep.
this is gonna be especially cost effective. And you definitely don't need new windows, so hopefully that works fine. I support that too.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So we don't have to, I guess we do,
I got a question.
okay.
How much? How much is this? That's
Give me
the
a sec.
How much? The price?
It would depend on the building that you're doing. It would be hard to give you a cost, but I would imagine to any project, it would add about at least a 10% cost increase for those.
So if we replace this window right here, how much?
I don't know off the top of my head what that window would cost to replace, but add 10% to it
No, for the film.
or more.
Yeah, no, just a film for that window.
Yeah, for the film.
Yeah, I think just, I mean, if you were, and you wanted to do this stuff,
Only doing
let's
it
just
on
do it with the film.
replacements. Right? We're not mandating it be done now.
No.
It's only,
No,
For
I
new,
understand that, but how
Here's
much?
some for $27. I
Oh, okay.
Googled. And CLC, I'm sure you toured CLC's new building. They put it in voluntarily on their building, knowing they were close to the lake. And the last time I talked to them, they said they did not think they had any bird strikes in that building. And it's been there, 3 years now, maybe? So it's not an expensive process.
Okay. I thought it was going to be super expensive for everybody. Okay.
no. So I just want a
$27.
motion to move this forward to the next city council meeting.
So moved.
Okay. Alderman
I'll
Florian.
second that.
Second is Alderman Guzman. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye. Thank you,
Mayor
everyone.
Taylor.
Aye.
Motion
Can I-
passed.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? I need a first and a second.
So
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
Holy cow, I need one and a two. Come on. Give me a break. I can't hear all that at once.
Don't move.
Okay, Alderman Turner, and second was Alderman Florian. I can do an all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
I'm giving you until 7:03 to be back here.